So guys, let's start our next topic of discussion, which is Helicobacter pylori gastritis. So from the gross features, we found there is erythematous changes in the surface of stomach, which usually involves the antrum of stomach because it is a portion of stomach where there is low amount of parietal cells, hence there is low amount of secretion of HCl. So H. pylori gets the advantage of this opportunity of low HCl and grows in that region of antrum. So there is erythematous changes in the antrum portion of stomach. And this can also be visualized as coarse or even nodular appearance, but remember these are not always the prominent features of this H. pylori gastritis. So this is an endoscopic view of the gross appearance of H. pylori gastritis. Now let's move on to the microscopic features of this disease. We found there are actually the infiltration of inflammatory cells. So look at this diagram. So this is a normal illustration of gastric antrum, and after the H. pylori grows in the antrum of stomach of this patient, there is significant changes in the histology of antrum. So first of all, we will found there is the formation of abscess in the gastric pits of stomach. So this is known as the pit abscess. And why this abscess is forming is actually because of the presence of acute inflammatory cells, which is actually the neutrophils. So there is neutrophilic infiltration. And this acute inflammation reaction is actually forming because the H. pylori have significant impact on the gastric antrum of the stomach. So this is visualized in the mucous membrane of the epithelium. So this is comma-shaped H. pylori stuck in the mucus of epithelium. Later on we will found there is the infiltration of chronic inflammatory cells such as macrophages, the plasma cells and the lymphocytes, which form a mass in the lamina propria of stomach, and this mass is known as mucosa associated lymphoid tissue, also known as MALT. So there is MALT formation in the lamina propria of antrum of stomach infected by the H. pylori gastritis. Epithelium of stomach can become either metaplastic with the goblet cells or atrophic, but it is not always formed. And about these H. pylori, these are only visualized by specialized stains in the laboratory such as the aminohisto stain, Giemsa stain and H and E stain. So this was a histological illustration of H. pylori gastritis. Now let's compare it with the normal histological slide of this disease. So here we found all of these cells is actually predominantly neutrophils, which shows active acute inflammation process in this disease. And here we found this is the pit abscess formation. And this is another histological slide of this H. pylori gastritis, which is stained by aminohistochemicals. And here you see these golden brown entities are actually the H. pylori, and these tissues are actually the mucosa associated lymphoid tissue, also known as MALT. Again, we can also use the Warthin-Starr stain to visualize this H. pylori organism. So this was all about H. pylori gastritis. Let's meet in our next topic of GIT morphology.